Dressed as a sailor, our assassin pretends to be fishing, while observing his quarry, the cleric Reginald Silver. That evening he scouts the area around the shrine, before returning to watch the cleric's residence overnight. In the dark of night, a figure secretly exits the cleric's house, and the assassin follows him to the Mermaid's Kiss. He sees him head upstairs after paying the matron, and so our assassin books a room for the night to gain access to the second floor. He spends the rest of the night observing the room occupied by the cleric. The next day, our assassin practices some creative writing. He also buys a sack and brass knuckles, and waits for night to fall. Under the cover of darkness, he sneaks into the cleric's house and makes sure he never wakes up. He then plants some incriminating evidence in Reginald's journal, then disposes of the body. But alas, someone spots him dumping the body into the canal and comes to investigate. The assassin quickly runs back and checks the crime scene, making sure he left no trace, then goes and takes care of the witness. With his dark deeds done, he returns to his tavern room. After a tense night, he decides to spread some rumours about Reginald's dalliances in the Mermaid's Kiss. Soon Reginald's note is discovered, and all believe he committed suicide. He spends a day relaxing and listening to the mayhem he has created. Has the assassin gotten away with this assignment? How will he fare in his next task? Will it be spectacular? Let's find out now on Assassin.
Hello everybody and welcome to Assassin. How are you doing today, Rob?
You know, I would like to say great, and I know that I've been doing a lot of complaining at beginnings of these episodes, and I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but I just feel like I have to speak out.
Uh-oh. What has happened?
I mean, this is a time when there's just so much chaos going on in our country, and I feel like we're all called upon to get up and talk about what's important. And so, Neil, as you know, I was just in the green room.
Uh-huh.
And the champagne fountain was a little flat. I mean, I
What do you mean it wasn't tall enough for you, or the bubbles weren't, there was no carbonation?
Look, Neil, if you're not going to refresh the carbonation with a new bottle every 15 minutes, I don't think you can really call it a champagne fountain. I mean, I appreciate it. Everything else was great, the fruits, but I just feel like to defend Western civilization, because if it's not, if you're not refreshing, you can't really call it a champagne fountain. And if you don't have a champagne fountain, you can't really call it brunch. And brunch is the ultimate bringing together divided meals into one meal where their strength, even though lunch and breakfast are so different, one is sandwich-based, one is often egg-based, and yet they come together to make a stronger meal.
And the champagne fountain is a core part of that. I agree. This is an experimental, low-carbonated champagne. It's Dutch.
Might as well be a sparkling wine. Might as well be a crappy California sparkling wine.
Okay, first off, don't you say anything about California wines, all right? But secondly, this was a Dutch treat that we thought would be even more fancy and exotic than typical champagne, but clearly either it's fallen flat on its face or you're not a man of true taste and can't appreciate a nice Dutch champagne fountain.
I am a man of taste, and I was going to say this anyway, just to show that I did notice the positives, appreciate the positives. And I did want to say that I appreciate that the new vehicle elevator down to the vehicle vault was constructed with more than enough room to accommodate the Robcopter. I didn't even have the rotors folded in.
It's because I care.
And that's the attention to detail. Exactly. That shows you care. And so I get it. And I can tell this was just one little slip. Fire a couple of people just to make an example to the rest every 15 minutes. No.
All right. I will make sure all of our employees are
Or
constantly
America.
working. Refresh that champagne fountain. It'll be fixed for next week, I promise. You guys won't hear about it next week. All right.
We can only hope.
All right. Well, aside from the disaster that was the non-functioning or less than optimally functioning champagne fountain.
Worst thing since Pearl Harbor. Worst disaster since Pearl Harbor.
Wow. Yeah. Let's. I've got nothing on that one, Rob. Let's
No guest has ever been treated worse.
Let's talk about our session today. I can't.
Yes, let's try to put this behind. If we can, we'll just ignore this trauma.
Mm-hmm.
We'll let this trauma become post.
So, this section, we have a new murder. It's going to be a little bit different this week. We'll do our normal introductions with Ripley and everything. But instead of being stationary and kind of you've got an area to work with, instead we're going to have a mobile murder today. Target is going to be starting in the town of Tassel. I can here. And we'll be headed to Stromheim. Along a road via carriage. So you know the course your target will be taking, but you only have a 2-day window in which to make this happen. Furthermore, they're going to be traveling by carriage, so you're really only going to get one shot at them. But you'll have all sorts of different places where you can set something up, and you're going to have a lot of time ahead of time to scout out these locations. So why don't we hop into game? You are going to be in an underground lair, a little warren, underneath a tavern. One of those scummy taverns that offers extra services on the side. And one of the extra services on the side this place offers are private rooms deep underground to have conversations with other people that should be kept strictly in confidence. Strictly. And that's where we find ourselves. We're here with Ripley, sitting down at a small table in a small room lit by a dim lantern. She puts a map on the table, a map of this little region right here, and giving the eyes.
Okay, so this warren is in Tassel?
Yes,
Where we
this
are at
is...
the moment? Yeah.
Yes. So, Ripley starts off by saying, how have things been?
Things have gone well. For me, anyways. They didn't go quite as well for a local cleric whose reputation was quite tarnished. But for me, they've been great.
Good. Well, it's time to put your skills that we've been so carefully, delicately training to use. I hope you're fully ready for this because the warm-up missions are gone. From here on out, things are going to be a little bit harder. We have, coming from the Kingdom of Mystria, the west, an ambassador. His name is Xanatos Elderwig. He will be arriving by ship in Tassel in 2 weeks' time, and will be headed to the capital for a meeting with the Queen there. He should never arrive for that meeting. He should die in a public manner. His death needs to be highly publicized for it to be effective. We want to make sure that Mystria and Eridon never work together, for what's coming are split apart and separate entities. So, Xanatos must die as publicly and disruptively as possible. He will have a small guard with him, 3 individual soldiers, plus the captain of his guard, a man named Kel Valis Erengard, as well as an assistant that he takes everywhere with him, named Mindy, and his carriage driver, which I believe is just a fuddy old man.
Let's see, so they'll be arriving at Tassel.
Disembarking from there, hiring a wagon from the same carriage service they always hire whenever they're in town. I've taken a look at the roster. There was already a man assigned to the task. The old man driver, Jeeves.
And he's heading to Stromheim. That's right.
Yep, it'll be a 2-day journey. So they'll arrive by ship, spend a night in Tassel, and then take a carriage all the way to Cauldron, spend a night there, and go by carriage to Stromheim. The distance between these places is quite large. Tassel and Cauldron are 39 miles apart. Cauldron and Stromheim are 43 miles apart. So they're both a full day's carriage ride. Don't let them get ahead of you.
And I'm already wondering if perhaps we might travel at the exact same pace. How is this Jeeves someone that is always employed by the diplomat, by Xanatos, or is it just simply who's on the roster?
Who's on the roster this week? The carriage company employs many drivers and many different carriage types. And considering that Xanatos is a punctual man who likes to have everything set up ahead of time, he's already booked his time with the carriage company. He's already booked his hotels in Tassel and Cauldron. We know exactly which rooms he'll be staying in, the route he's taking, the carriage he will be taking, but we need to make sure he doesn't arrive.
Right then. When does he debark in town?
We'll debark in 2 weeks.
And how far away? So we're in Tassel right now, so I should have plenty of time to reconnoiter the route.
Totally.
Correct, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 2 weeks. It takes a day to travel between locations, so you can spend 10 days scouting out Tassel, or 5 days scouting out Tassel, 5 days scouting out Cauldron, and 2 days scouting out each section of road. And then you can just go in place for whatever it is that you want. Plenty of time to reconnoiter each section. The other thing he brings up is that we have finally arrived. Our first shipment of toxins have arrived since that nasty incident. Fortunately, only the most common of toxins are available right now. The less common ones are taking a little while to show up, so we'll have a limited which to work. But she slides over another bag of money towards you and says, but I don't think you've used much of the resources we've sent to your way, so you should have plenty of money. Need it. Do you have a question?
How much can I count on if I were to say require a horse to escape, or I mean, still will need to examine the route before I can make a plan. But in case something extraordinary like that is needed.
You should have funds, she says, tapping that bag again, to buy a horse. DM double checks his notes to make sure the player can afford a horse. The DM is pretty sure it's gonna be fine. Because you're getting 6k now, and I think a horse is 7.5k, and you should already have... You haven't spent very much of the money you've been given. I think you probably have like 10k in the bank already. Although I don't know because I haven't been keeping track of it directly myself.
I haven't been keeping super good track of it either.
Okay.
I knew I wasn't spending... I knew I wasn't going anywhere near the totals.
Uh-oh. Okay, I'm gonna do quick
Let's call it
assessment
10k.
Maybe. So let's start with 3,000, and then you got 4,000. You got 5,000. So you've been given 12,000 plus the 6. You've been given 18. And I want to say you probably spent like 3,000 thus far. So we'll put you at 15k total.
Okay.
Maybe it's time to start keeping track of it. Maybe, you know.
Well, the amounts were kind of so small, I wasn't really worried about, like,
Yeah.
4 gold pieces.
Right. You've usually had more than enough for everything. Hasn't been an issue.
Well, I've been doing everything in a very economical...
And that's the assassination that I really wanted to see here is not just can you murder someone, but can you murder them on the cheap?
On a budget.
And can you create the least amount of plastic waste while you do so? Because we all know that zero waste and a plastic-free environment is an important thing, and you have to include it in every aspect of your life. You can't just be zero waste when it comes to things you don't like. You got to do it in every facet of your life, which includes when you murder people. And I appreciate your commitment to
recycle. That's why I'm going to be strangling the diplomat using those like plastic rings that connect, for like a 6-pack.
No, because then what if it slips out of your hand and falls into the ocean? You got to use a 100% organically grown, non-GMO, Eastern European hemp piece of groat to strangle them. Otherwise, you're just letting the capitalists win.
No, see, that's actually part of the plan. Is first I am going to dip it in the ocean. I'm going to block one of the 6-pack things, but let the other 5 accumulate various sea life, like snapping turtles, angry dolphins, things like that. And so when I strangle him, it's the double thing of he's being strangled in that 5th one, but his head is also being mauled by 5 angry sea creatures.
Well, that does sound terrifying.
This was supposed to be a terroristic open mission.
Yes, it is.
Nothing says randomness and chaos like having your face torn off by 5 angry sea creatures.
Perhaps.
40 miles inland.
Perhaps. Okay. So, any other details you need? Yes, the 4 guards that come with our dear Xanatos Elderwig. 3 of them are unnamed NPC guards. One of them is a named captain. They will each be riding horseback alongside the carriage. He's done this before. So Xanatos and his assistant Indy will both be in the carriage itself. One of the guards will sit up front with Jeeves, the driver, and then the captain of the guard will be out in front on his horse, and his 2 buddies will be flanking the carriage as they go. So they'll have like surrounded protection on the go. But before we
killing him in the midst of all that would be an accomplishment.
Definitely be an accomplishment. So let's start. Actually, jumping ahead here. Do you have any questions right now, or should we start taking a look at locations?
I'm gonna want to. Are you saying this in character as Ripley, or just to me in general?
To you in general.
Okay. I'm starting to put together a plan. I do want to spend a few days looking over the locations in Tassel and running the route up to the end and back, examining everything along the way. Let's say a week for this. And just as far as I'm going to want to buy some supplies, but I'll do that at the end. And again, just to, want to have an accumulation of various articles of clothing, often double-sided, so they can be switched, reversible. They can look very different at need.
Easy.
All right. And so we'll start in Tassel, I guess. So the places I'm going to want to examine is he spending the night in Tassel after his...
Yes, the ship will arrive in the late afternoon, and he'll be hopping off, and he has an inn room in Tassel. It is at the Golden Goose. It is a sister tavern to the one that you saw in High Castle, where it's like built into the giant cliff face, because Tassel's the same way. It's
same architect?
Same architect, same building company. Built
kind of a tracked in, just built exactly the same floor plan.
No, it's not identical. They're very similar, but definitely not identical.
And no one should say they are.
Yeah, and I definitely didn't, show you this to you a few times in ahead to get you already used to the layout and everything. Not here. So this is the layout of the tavern. Ripley produces a small map of it so you can see where all the individual rooms are.
Yes, perfect. I see that it just works.
So here is the layout. Now, you know that Xanatos Elderwig will be taking this room up here. And his captain, his primary bodyguard, Kelvalis Erengard. Kel is an honorific that we use instead of Sir to replace for knights in this world. Mm-hmm. And then Valis Erengard would be his name, denoting that he is also a noble because he has a last name. So Kelvalis goes in here, Xanatos goes in here, and then the guards get back here. 1, 2, 3, down lower right. And the assistant gets this room up here, leaving this 4th room open if anyone wants it. And these 2 rooms back here open if anyone wants them.
All right. Next, I want to check out the carriage company.
Yes. It's called Carriages Are Us. It is an up-and-coming, important business in this part of the world.
I was kind of imagining that it was going to have a proprietress who called herself Miss Carriage or something, but
no,
maybe it's the wrong show.
I would not make that joke here. No. It's Carriages Are Us. That is the name. They work out of just Tassel, but they have 6 different carriages and an accompaniment of drivers to match.
All right. I am going to put on clothes, dress myself up as the manservant, and basically I want to kind of posing as someone who's seeing about hiring a carriage, investigate it, try to get a sense of. My main thing will be, as we've heard about this roster, where is this roster?
Of drivers?
Yes. Is this someplace easily accessed, for example?
It is.
And I'm guessing you didn't plan out the layout for the whole thing, so but
not for the carriage shop, but it's a pretty simple place. You know, they've got like a old barn somewhere in Castle that they use to store their carriages, and then they've got like an office, a very small office down in the Central Market where people can come and work with them. Down in the Central Market is Mr. Bronson, the person who runs Carriages R Us. And he's just sitting there in the market with his feet up on his desk, looking about for anyone who wants to come and hire him. It is likely that he has a roster on him, so if someone says, I need a carriage in a week, he'll know who's around and what the availability is.
All right, I will give him a date. I'll say, yeah. I mean, say in 1 week. And ask who would be the driver. Then we want to make sure it's a person of quality.
For the same date as the.
No, much earlier.
Much earlier.
Yes.
Looks like we have Bart and Greg available on that day. Good drivers. Fine attention to detail.
So he's pulled a roster out of his pocket or out of
he just
drawer? Where did it
he
go?
Pulls a clipboard off of the. He's got his like feet up on a desk, and the clipboard was maybe like stuck behind the desk, so he just grabs it and lifts it up and is like, yeah. Bart and Greg, good folks. Get you from wherever you need to go to wherever you need to be. Where are you headed, by the way?
I'm looking map again. It was like when there's like Shirebrook, which was also off that same road.
Yeah, Shirebrook is along that same road, but much further to the.
I was looking to journey to Shirebrook.
It's a good place there. Yep. That's gonna be a 1, 2, 3. That's gonna be a 3-day journey. The last leg of that journey is gonna be pretty hard. I kind of recommend splitting it into 2. And with our large super deluxe carriage, you can park it on the road and fold down a Murphy bed, sleep right there in the carriage in the comfort of your own mobile inn. Call it Mobile Home. And it is the latest in carriage technology. I've had gnomes working on this Murphy bed design for decades. Really, literally decades. I asked them when I was in my 20s to get this designed. Now I'm in my 40s, and it's only just come out.
Sounds like they're slow workers then.
Very creative types, make a lot of mistakes. 2 gnomes died when they were testing the springability of the bed, and 2 new people had to come in and learn from their designs, and it took maybe 4 years for them to fully catch up on all the notes because the handwriting was such gibberish. You know gnomes. Very clever, but they take a long time to get it.
I see. I suppose I could see this super deluxe carriage. You have one available to see.
Of course. Come on and take a look. He'll head with you down to their large warehouse where you see 6 carriages and a bunch of teams of horses all hanging out.
Is that the kind that Xanatos is going to be renting?
No, he's not renting the super mega deluxe mobile home carriage. He's just getting a regular carriage.
All right. So he leads me to the super deluxe carriage.
Yep. And it's long. It's longer than any carriage you've seen before. In fact, it's got 6 wheels. 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and 2 in the middle. But a little bit of a bizarre design, but he opens the door and leads you in, and it's comfy.
I'm sorry. Perhaps I misspoke. I asked you to take me to the super deluxe carriage.
This is it. 6 wheels, because 6 is more than 4, and if I know my clients, more is always better. Always better.
Let's see. Only the 6 wheels then.
We do have an 18-wheel model coming up. The gnomes are working on it right now. They're just trying to get a few of the kinks out of the system. Apparently, when the wagon turns with that many wheels, they don't all turn, and then they start to break and fall off. They're trying to get a rotating axle that the wheels can turn together. It's still in production. Come back in a while, and it should be fine, ready. But the 18-wheeler model's not up yet, but we're the first ones to do it, mind you.
I've heard about individual wheel steering, where all the wheels steer at once, but you just have the ones in front steering. That's right? That's what you're saying?
Are you looking to rent a carriage to Shirebrook, or are you just wasting my time, buddy? Seems annoyed at your disparaging of his carriages.
I mean, who's doing the wasting is up for debate. I shall keep this in mind and see what your competitors have to offer. Perhaps they have something that involved more gnome deaths. 2 gnomes died, you say? Just 2? Just the 2?
Just the 2, father and son. Yep. Ended that whole line. Real tragedy.
Well, we'll see what your competitors have to offer, and then perhaps if there are no other options, I may come back here.
Well, there's only one other carriage company in town, and it's run by a lady named Carol. He's only got the one driver, and named Tito. And I don't think you want to drive with them, because as good as Bart and Greg are, Carol and Tito are that bad. Tito's just a terrible driver, hits every bump on the road, and Carol overly manages everything. It's just, you don't want to go with them.
We'll see. I'm not in the habit of taking the recommendations of competitors as
Suit yourself.
their truth.
Suit yourself. I'm just saying, go with Bart and Greg. Bart and Greg are the man. Independently.
Yes. Good day to you, sir.
Day to you too.
All right, so I've noted where the clipboard is. So now it's time to take a journey. Is it possible to... I'm not going to walk all the way out there. Is it possible to hire a horse?
You can buy a horse.
Well, I don't really need to buy one yet.
Yeah, but horse rental is a hard thing to do in an age without, like, GPS or credit cards,
True,
you know? Like,
true.
you have to put a down payment that's equivalent to buying the horse. It's just a lot easier to just buy one and other details. Or you can just walk. We can just spend a day getting to the next location and kind of hand wave the...
I guess. All right. So let's go ahead and go to the next location then. We'll take a day, long, hard walk, and see. I'm examining things along the way, obviously, looking for secluded spots, bends in the road that we can't see around the bend because of the trees,
Right.
various things like that.
So let's take a look here. The west road between Tassel and Cauldron is pretty open, right? It's this open road through these plains. To the south area is the Tether Wilds. This area over here begins to get a little bit hilly with these kind of nice, long, gentle, rolling hills. But the rest of the area is, the road doesn't even go into there, so there's not really a lot of cover. The trees along the west road between Tassel and Cauldron are sparse, if any, and there's really no good cover spots at all.
Is it farmland? Is it wilderness? Is it just like a lonely
section
road
near
plains?
Tassel and the sections near Cauldron are farmed, with the in-between area just open wilds. Now there's tall grasses, especially closer to Cauldron. This section right here has a lot of very tall, naturally growing grasses on the side of the road. Well enough that you could easily hide yourself in the grass near the road. But a carriage traveling by going at a nice speed, it would be difficult to catch up to the carriage. If it passed you.
Mm-hmm.
Probably showed things that I'm saying.
Okay. Well, I've got a plan. This is mainly as backup in case for some reason my plan didn't work, but I've got a plan that might make that not important.
So that is the journey from Tassel to Cauldron. In Cauldron, Xanatos Elderwig will be staying at the tavern, the inn called the Fourth Haven. Now, this
I just gotta say, Neil, I know this isn't shenanigans. I'm trying to be serious, but every time you say Xanatos Elderwig,
does that sound like something from somewhere else?
I don't know. I'm just having a hard time taking this guy seriously with a last name like Elderwig.
I'm not very good at naming things. All right, its carriages are us.
I'm just imagining him with one of those big, like, English barrister wigs and his pinky up. Ooh.
Up until 3 a.m. last night, the captain of the guard wasn't named Kelvalis Erengard. His name was Billy Barry. And last night around 3 in the morning, I'm like, no, Neil, we can't call him Billy Barry. We have to change his name. And it took me like 15 minutes to come up with Valis Erengard, all right? So I have some strengths as a GM, as a DM, and I have some weaknesses, and naming things is one of my weaknesses. Yeah. Anyway, so this over here is the Fourth Haven. It is an inn overlooking Cauldron's namesake, which is this large, what do you want to call it? Hot water geyser. Of course, it's hot water. Almost all geysers are hot water. Cauldron is a barbaric town. This hot water geyser in the middle of town erupts fairly regularly and creates a river. You have the water that flows there. It's always bubbling with hot water that comes out, hot enough to be steaming. But every now and then it'll erupt with a giant fountain shooting high into the sky. And here in Cauldron, if you commit a capital crime, they put you in this cage and just leave you hanging over the geyser, waiting for it to erupt, and then it erupts with boiling water, and you're forced into the eruption zone, and it boils you alive. There's bleachers set up all around it for the barbaric people of Cauldron to come and watch these executions. They're a little bit mad over here. There's said to be kind of a curse surrounding the family who's inherited this place, where each person is just a little more unstable than the last. And the religious fanaticism in the town has gotten out of hand, and it's just kind of a creepy place. Xanatos Elderwig will be staying in the very finest establishment this place has to offer, with a room overlooking the execution site. So we're looking at this building right up here, and we can take a look at the 3rd floor. Ripley produces maps. She's traveling with you to help you out with these things.
Okay.
This is the 3rd floor here. Get a nice close look at it. Here we go. So Xanatos will be staying in this room, and Valis will be staying in this room. And on the 2nd floor, we have the assistant Mindy, and the 3 other guards are all staying down in this room. Leaving the 2 rooms above that, this one right here, and this room here, empty. No one's staying here. At least not yet. And then on the ground floor, we can see we've got just kind of like an open tavern area for people to congregate. Pre-boiling someone alive, where this is where you pre-party.
How often does the geyser go off?
The geyser goes off a few times a day. Sort of haphazardly, but you can probably count on 2 to 5 eruptions a day. Fortunately, there's not enough executions for everyone to see something every day. So, and as we can see, there are a few entrances. You can either walk in through the front door and hit either staircase. It says Ripley, pulling out the map of the area and pointing it out, all this out to you. Or we can go through staircase up on the side that leads directly into the 2nd floor here. To get to the 3rd floor, you're going to need to use the stairs on either side. There's no direct way to the 3rd floor other than the staircases, although, she says, tapping this section of map, these roofs on the 2nd floor do provide fantastic access to windows. Xanatos' room is right next to this one, and this main front section should give easy access to anything on the 3rd floor, while the bleachers give access to the windows on the 3rd floor up here. Going up for the 3rd floor access here, or through the bedroom over here. 2nd floor access just through the typical routes of coming up these stairs or coming in through the side. Yeah. Anything else you want to see on this map, or ask, or discuss?
That's good. They that stables to the north. Where do they house the horses?
The carriage company is in charge of putting the carriage away and dealing with all that sort of stuff. I don't know if...
Well, but the guards are going to be riding horses as well. I would assume the inn would have stables. Where would the horses likely be kept?
The horses are kept actually a little bit farther away. There's a groom at the tavern, the inn, who will take your horses to a third-party shop that deals with housing animals. Since this is like downtown in the very center of town, the horses are kept a little bit of ways because there's too much foot traffic here, and there's too many sort of fanatical types that'll get in the way. So horses are kept at a small barn a little bit away, and they'll have to be called for in the morning and put away at night. So they're not immediately available for people in the tavern. They need them in a hurry.
I do go and surveil the barn just to get a sense of it. I'm assuming barns are not high security facilities that someone
No.
can get in.
Yeah, I mean, they are like storing horses, so there's going to be at least one guard on duty, but, it's. If you're gonna steal a horse, it's way easier to steal it kind of out than going into a town and stealing it from a large set of stables that's got a guard on it. So you can visit the stables there. It's on the east side of town. So the
I wasn't
Xanatos
thinking of stealing a horse. I was thinking of feeding horses.
Xanatos would enter on the south and kind of go into the middle, get dropped off at his inn, and then someone would take the horses and the carriages and head kind of south and east to the barn where they're both being stowed. Okay. What else can I show you? What other information can you briefly discuss?
Is it basically like once he gets to the capital, then he's staying in the palace?
Yeah, once he gets to the capital, he immediately gets taken through the city streets into the palace, and that's that. Even the capital itself is much more difficult to get into than any of these other places, and let's say this in Ripley's voice, actually. Castle walls are well guarded, and once within the city streets, it's a straight shot to the palace. There will be a royal guard to greet Mr. Elderwig at the city gates. So once through the city gates, everything gets much, much harder. I fully recommend making sure he doesn't reach the city gates.
And what are they fanatical about in Cauldron? I'd like to learn more about that if I could. What upsets them?
Just about anything.
They follow a particular god?
A little bit of everything, and a little bit of everything too strongly. Big supporters of the goddess of vengeance, Velthara, the goddess of death, Orasi, and Velthara's brother, the god of justice, Belmontarius. But, of course, they all reach out to their own gods in their own way. Even God Nadinus, the goddess of nature, they've somehow turned into a symbol for their own internal power source, saying that Nadinus has blessed them here with a boiling geyser to kill their enemies, and how Goddess Nadinus is here to help rid the world of all those that would corrupt it, which is their point of view, is that everything around them is corrupt. Even the peasantry is corrupt. They're a little loose. Some say that the sulfurous smell from the cauldron addles the mind of those that stand around, slowly decaying it and creating an unstable population. Some say it's the rulers who have been interbreeding for generations that are unstable and lead the population to be such.
Is there a particular god that is despised among them?
Thinks for a moment. It's long and hard about all the gods. Jexel, the god of wine and luck. They see him more as a troublemaker, one who intentionally causes trouble for the sake of fun. They don't seem to mind Malchus and the idea of mixing things up for the better good is something they're quite familiar with. But Jexel they see as a pest and a trickster, one who has no real purpose in the world other than to annoy everyone around him. I think he's the only god here that they're not quite pro.
Or it is the one sometimes also known as Newton. So I hear he's more respected by that guys.
I have heard him called Newton before. It's an uncommon name, a halfling in origin, I believe.
Hmm. So interesting. And of the road between Cauldron and the capital, what can we say of that? Once we've ridden it and examined it.
Look. On in. The North Road from Cauldron to Stromheim runs right along the Wispwood, which is a dangerous place filled with will-o-wisps and other nasty things. The first section of road is fairly treeless. They make sure to keep the forest back so it never overrides the road to make sure that the road is nice and safe. But once you get past the Wispwood, you enter the very light forest surrounding Stromheim, forest of the Stromheim Vale. There is some cover there. There will be some turnouts and some nice blind angles if that's what you're looking for.
Right. And what is the name of the country that Xanatos is from again?
Mystria.
Yeah. All right.
Is this country off to the left. Color for outlining.
Is there anything particularly noteworthy or seen as characteristic of them?
You might not believe it, but they have been ruled or oppressed by a large red dragon for generations now, who lives up in the mountain and has been extracting payment and fees from the general population under threat of destruction. Other than that, that's sort of like their big deal right now, is that they're violently oppressed by this dragon. Their southern areas are nice big grasslands, their midlands are wonderful farmland, and then their northern areas where most of their population is.
All right, well that's probably good enough. On the way back from Stromheim to Cauldron, I want to, and again, this is just a backup plan, but it's good to have plan Bs as we saw before. Do they have any gods they're particularly favorable towards in Cauldron?
Yes. Verasi, Velmontarius, and Velthar. EVs.
All right. While I'm in Stromheim, can I pick up a holy symbol of Verasi?
Yes. You can. Those are a little difficult to pick up, but Ripley will help you out with them. Holy symbols of the goddess of death get a lot of questions when you ask about those, you know? So Ripley uses her back channels to purchase one for you.
No, it's not just like, well, he's the one who deals with burials and stuff. It's like, is he seen as an evil god or one outlawed or something? Or
she is very similar to the Grim
Okay.
Reaper. She's very much sort of like a force of nature. She takes you to the afterlife. She's not necessarily a bad person. You need death for life to continue. You know, you need people to die at some point. But she's still kind of have it as a negative connotation around her because she enjoys death. She's like the Grim Reaper, but like really wants to come and take everybody onto the afterlife. So,
She likes her job. I mean, that's...
she's very enthusiastic about her job. So you'll have like clerics of Verasi or priests and priestesses of Verasi that will tend to funerals and funeral services. But when people go about asking for like a symbol of her, it does raise questions and draw looks.
It's just so unfair. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
It's true. Ripley will get you an amulet for 1,000. That'll bring your total down to 1,400.
1,000?
10 gold pieces? Yeah.
Alright, I just want, what are the other gods?
Belmontarius and Belthara.
Okay. What is Verasi's symbol like? Basically, I just want, like, something that a poor beggar might have as far as a holy symbol for Verasi.
Okay,
I don't want to actually look like a priest, because then people would expect me to maybe know stuff about Verasi.
So Verasi's symbol is sort of like a spear being driven into the ground. It's a V with a wooden spike coming out of it that sort of fades at the top. So it's a V with a line, but it can also be interpreted as a spear being driven down into something. It's got kind of a information about it.
Could I get a cheap wooden carved version of that?
Yeah. If you just want not like an official holy symbol that can be used for casting spells.
Oh, sure. Lord, no.
Okay, yeah, you can get some sort of like cheap knockoff talisman for, let's call it like 50. 14. So you had 15,000, so now you have 14,950.
Why don't we just make a running tab of how much I spend and we can subtract it at the end, since I'm not going to spend 15,000.
Sure.
All right. And I imagine Stromheim, the big city, there's probably a number of beggars in the streets.
Totally.
I will find a beggar with a bowl. Nice, chipped up bowl that's seen a lot of service. Maybe they've got a nice begging mat. Well, I mean, a not nice begging mat, but very authentic. And I figure used stuff will be the best disguises. And I mean, what is the value of a bowl?
Couple copper. A beggar's wooden bowl is a couple copper.
All right, I will find a beggar.
Sure.
And I'll pull out 2 silver. I'll say, friend, you seem to be down on your luck.
Please, sir, anything helps? Anything?
I do not have a donation today, but I do have a deal. If you would sell me your bowl and your mat, and I pull out 2 silver, I hope to recompense you.
Sees the silver you pull out and immediately rolls up his mat and stacks it with his bowl and hands it over to you.
Thank you, sir.
Silver?
I give him the 2 silver, 1 for the bowl, 1 for the mat. All right. Good, authentic looking begging stuff.
Totally.
I'm assuming Tassel is a big port and I can get plenty of supplies there. I don't have to buy everything here. I see Stromheim is a big, cool castle, and Tassel is one house. But
yes, Stromheim is the big capital. Tassel is just some small, pissant little town.
But it is something I could get. You know what? Better to get it, buy things as far away as I might, where I might use them. How many horses are involved here with the guards and the captain? 4 different horses?
4 horses will pull the carriage, and then there are 3 different horses for the rider. one for the captain out front and one for the 2 guards that are flanking the carriage. The 3rd guard sits with the driver up on top.
All right. How much for manacles and a lock? I just need a short chain between them. Basically, handcuffs is what I'm looking for.
Right. Manacles are 3,000 copper for a set that comes with a lock and a short chain. They're complicated and difficult to make, so they're expensive.
Yeah, that's more than I'm not going to drop 9,000 on this moment. How much is oil?
Lantern oil?
Yes.
Super cheap. 20 copper for a pint. 16 ounce.
All right, that's more a matter of how much do I want to carry. So trying to get a sense. 10 pints is probably kind of a ridiculous amount to carry.
That's a lot of oil, yeah. That's like carrying 10 pint glasses. It's difficult to do.
Well, like I said, I gotta get a small traveling chest. And I can put them in the traveling chest. Along with various clothes, put them under clothes and things. I don't know that I'll need this, but maybe I will.
So you got the 10 pints of oil?
Yes. And I'm going to try to hitch a ride with any carts going from Stromheim to Cauldron. I'll pay something if needed, but just...
Sure, you can hop on the back of a turnip cart and go from Stromheim to Cauldron.
All right. And I'm going to dress very poorly. I'm going to wear the cheap symbol of Varasi on a cheek twine. And I'm going to spend the next day in Cauldron, in the morning doing some begging. Calling out, Varasi comes for us all. Who are we to deny it?
Definitely. Pat, that's right up the realm.
All right.
Okay.
And I'll give fairly, it seems like they like fire and brimstone-y kind of things. Go for the rich, for the poor. Varasi doesn't care.
This is in Cauldron that you're doing.
In Cauldron, yes.
So just before we go too much farther, spent a day checking out Tassel, a day checking out Cauldron, went to Stromheim and back as well.
Yes, I'm heading back to Tassel.
So a day between the two, then a day to Stromheim, and a day back. So today's going to be day 6 that you're working on. You'll be here in Cauldron.
And I'm going to, after I've spent the morning begging, when I go in, I'm going to go in for lunch at, I guess that inn that it's going to be staying at, Xanatos going to be staying at, is probably too wealthy for a beggar, correct?
Well, it would usually be too wealthy for a beggar. You would be out of place there as a beggar. I don't know if that's important to you.
I'm just going to go to whatever. I'm assuming there's other inns that cater to the poor folk.
Definitely, because this is the primo inn with the view of the execution site. So.
All right. So I'm going to do some drinking at another inn. I want a popular one that has a lot of people, good-sized inn. Absolutely. And I'm going to start spreading a rumor about there's a there's a preacher calls himself the emissary of Jexel, the diplomat, Jexel's diplomat, who's from, was it Mystara? Was that it?
Mystria.
Mystria. Wouldn't surprise me if he was working the bidding of the dragon there. And he's trying to spread, because like half of them worship Jexel over there in Mystria.
Damn foreigners.
And he's trying to spread it here at the command of that dragon, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the dragon targeted Mystria, because they were a bunch of low-life Jexel worshippers.
Jexel worshipping sons of bitches who think that all you gotta do is get luck on your side and everything's gonna change. They don't realize that it's hard work. Those people over in Mystria ruled by their petty, stupid red dragon. They're just a bunch of low-life miscreants, Even the people that live on the eastern seaboard with them, their eastern seaboard, our western board, are just a bunch of fancy, wussy people. They're not nearly as bad as those people from Misty Rapids down the way to our east, though. Those suckers are even worse.
Yeah, so that sounds great if that's their attitude. I'm going to work that up and keep talking about this traveling creature, how wealthy he is, that he, from all the people that he's tricked into worshiping Jexel, and he gets all this money from them, and how he gambles with it and drinks and gets the finest carriages and et cetera, as he travels about.
The people from Cauldron don't do very well with people not from Cauldron. They are wildly distrustful of outsiders. And this attitude has also made Cauldron not the wealthiest place, because who really wants to work with people who despise everyone outside of themselves? So they're also kind of a little on the poorer side here in town. So, this fancy noble from another kingdom ruled by a dragon who worships Jexel and throws money around like crazy is instant hatred for them. Instant hatred.
All right, so I'll get that going just to precede this here. Should I need a religious riot? Because it's better to have a religious riot and not need it than to need a religious riot and not have it.
Exactly. We're about halfway through our session here today, so we're getting kind of close to you needing to decide on a plan A.
Oh, I did that in the first 2 minutes.
Okay, what is your plan A?
Well, first thing, we got to get back to Tassel.
All right. Let's head over to Tassel then, and since we're about halfway, why don't we take a break here?
Mm-hmm.
We'll finish up all of our planning, and then maybe take a short break and see how it gets executed.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see you in just a moment on the other side of our break. Bye, everybody. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Assassin. Here we are. So, what's the plan?
The plan I came up with about 5 minutes in. We're going back to Tassel.
All right, back to Tassel.
All right. Gonna change up my appearance. Not gonna wear the manservant costume, but going to be dressed fairly respectably. And I'm gonna go. First, I'm gonna watch. I want to see this Jeeves. Who Jeeves is?
You find Jeeves without too much trouble. He's loitering around the stables, where the horses from Carriages Are Us hang out. Okay. And he's just sitting in the shade on a rock under a tree right next to the barn, looking out over the vast fields that are being slowly cultivated by the peasants of seemingly far off in his own thought.
All right. The old man, young man seemed very proper.
Oh, old
answers
man.
A lot of questions for random people. I mean, what?
Old, rambling man in his late 70s, early 80s, but he probably looks like he's in his late 80s or something. He's got that real sort of downtrodden, I've been oppressed my whole life and I'll just do whatever you say so that I can get along easily sort of look about him.
Interesting. Now I wonder if. And so, what does a typical peasant make?
Silver a day. He's a carriage driver, so he probably makes a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
A carriage driver. I have that. Driver, carriage, usually makes about 3 silver a day.
Oh, okay.
Makes triple your your day laborer.
Okay, so it would be giving him what to him would be a fantastic amount of money would drain what I have.
3 silver is not a lot.
Well, I'm just thinking, what's a fantastic amount to him?
A month's worth of wages would be 720 copper a month. He'll make about 9,000 copper in a year, about. So, a couple of months worth of wages is a pretty fantastic thing.
But probably not enough to make him quit his job. Crazy.
Want to talk to him?
I was just trying to see. I was just trying to see if there was an alternative to breaking a hip.
Well, maybe you can talk him into.
Yeah, I will. When I see him sitting out there, I will get some food at a local inn, a large meal, enough to share. And I'll, seeing him out there, just as I'm walking along, looking for a spot to have my lunch, I'll see him there and walking up to him like, this seems like a shady spot, and then quiet, reflective one. Do you mind if I share this spot to have a bite to eat?
Yes, my lord, please have a seat. Would you like my stump to sit on?
No, you were there first.
I don't mind, my lord. Just please.
No, it's I wouldn't stand for it. So I'll sit and.
Very generous, sir.
And first, I'll start up, a conversation with him for a while, just to try to get a sense of him. Just tell I'm new to this town. I just arrived by ship. wondering about the land, the people, wondering, asking him questions about himself. I'll share, I'll mention that I've got way more than I can eat here, and see if he would like any.
I wouldn't want to intrude on you or your meal, sir, but if you're done and you have any scraps left over, I'd be happy. If it's not too much trouble.
Yeah, so I go ahead and share, and I try to get a sense of him, what are his dreams, his family, or there's her granddaughter he hasn't seen in a long time. Does he have family in another town and wouldn't mind taking a trip somewhere?
My family is almost all gone. I'm estranged from most of them. I've spent my youth exploring the world and seeing many a wonderful sight. I've paid for my times and my crimes, and I'm trying to just live a simple, quiet life now. No more horse track racing or betting or fixing. No more thieving. Just a good, honest day's wage. A good, honest day's labor.
Can I do an insight check to try to get a feel, as we talked about the family and strange family members, how he might be feeling about them?
Yeah, give me an insight check.
All right. Pull up the character sheet.
He seems sort of like wistful and longing, like whatever few family members are left, it would be nice to have a better relationship with them, but also that sort of like far off, there's problems there and it's something he can't return to. So it's more of like a longing for something he feels cannot be done. Return to a past that is no longer accessible to him. That's how he feels about his family, at least. At least
Okay.
That's your impression.
All right. Family, it's the most important thing. Sometimes it takes us too long to realize. Good.
That is definitely true, my lord. I wish I had appreciated my family before.
The good thing is, though, that it's never too late if we're willing to take the chance, make the effort.
It's too late for me. Brothers and sisters are all dead and gone. Just the one niece left, but I don't think she'll want to talk to me very much.
Why not?
I hate to say this, Lord, since I've only just met you, but I might have conned her parents out of her entire inheritance and spent it on horse races.
How much was that amount?
Nightly sum.
I-
Orders of magnitude more than I make in a year these days.
Way more than I. Have you ever tried to make that up to her in some way?
No, sir, I have not. I feel I've done her enough harm. Just I alone, quietly, somewhere where no one will see. Peaceful life.
It sounds as if you can't make up the entire amount, but what if you could make up some?
Lord?
I just wonder if you've savings, or if it's thousands of copper, then obviously to accumulate that would be outside the realm of possibility, but what if you could at least give her something?
I don't feel I understand, my lord. What?
I have a daughter that I'm estranged from, and your story it moves me, makes me think of her. It makes me want to do something about what I've done for her, done to in my part of the estrangement. And in thanks for that, I feel if your estrangement has been what led me to that, perhaps I can give you something to help you with your own story that it might have a happier ending.
You know what I find is the best cure for sort of heartbreaking self-reflection?
What is that?
He pulls out a small bag and pulls out some sort of powdered, gooey substance from it, and immediately starts like rubbing it on his teeth and his gums, and his eyes slowly become unfixed, and he hands the bag over to you as he takes some sort of, orally applied narcotic.
Can I identify this at all?
Make me a poisoner's proficiency check, or a poisoneering kit proficiency check, or what it's called?
Poisoner's kit.
Poisoner's kit check.
Okay, it's not giving me because it has a question mark for the value.
Oh, but in int or wisdom? Wisdom makes more sense.
All right.
Fantastic. So you recognize this as a kind of a crude form of opium that has been like distilled and boiled down and turned into like a gummy substance. He's clearly trying to forget the past and using strong and cheap narcotics to do so.
All right. Who makes 3 silver a day? I say, money is something my family has had. It's still but family, that's the important thing. What has this money done for me? But if it might do something for bring you and your niece back together, mend the past as I'm going to try to mend the past. Here, take this, and I'll count them out. So how much? So 15,000 is 150 gold.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna count them out. And I've spent 90 gold on poisons.
Oh, right, because you spent the... Yeah.
So I'm down to 60 gold. I'm going to count out 5 gold coins to him. So here, you can give these to your niece. It's something. It's not what you took, but at least it's something that you could use to begin to make things up, to begin to make peace with her before it's too late to.
How much did you give him?
5.
5 gold pieces?
Yes.
That should leave you with 52 gold.
Okay.
After all the other expenses that you've done so far. He's sort of unconscious. Like, you hand him the money, and you realize that he is, like, pretty far gone. He may or may not remember exactly what you said to him, and he's leaned most of the way over, so he's, like, resting against a tree at a really uncomfortable angle, and is just, like, drug out of his mind.
Okay. And I'm going to go and maybe he'll stay drug-addled for a while with wakes up and sees how much he's got dispersed. And I'm going to dress as a respectable peasant, as a respectable workman.
Wow.
and I will use a wig, as well as for my disguise kit, as well as a hood, kind of a cap that ties around to make sure the wig doesn't fall off. And I'm gonna go. It's time to go apply for a job at the Carriages R Us.
You get to back to Mr. Bronson, the head of the carriage company, back in the middle of town. It's been a few days, actually. You were here on day 1. It is now day 7. And you're dressed fairly differently.
And I have a blonde wig.
Yeah, you've got a blonde wig. So he doesn't recognize you in the slightest. He's down in that same market square, feet up on his desk, sees you approaching and up, saying, "Welcome to Carriages R Us. Where are you going today, mister?"
Actually, perhaps that is something that you could tell me. I've come to look for a job. I was asking about the carriage companies here in town. I heard that there's Carol's Carriages, and there's Carriages R Us, but that really there's only one carriage company in town, this one.
Well, you heard right. You don't want to go to Carol's Carriages. They are inferior in all shapes and regards and sizes.
Is what they say true, that you have super deluxe mobile inn?
I like the term mobile home, but yes it is. We have a super deluxe mobile inn with folding beds, a great team of horses, 6 wheels, because more wheels is always better.
6?
6 wheels.
You did not speak. You said 6.
I said 6 wheels, good sir.
The story said 6, but I didn't think that could be. That can't be true. That can't be true.
It is true. You say
50% more wheels?
It means you are 50% more stable. How are your driving skills? Can you take a team of horses?
I can, sir. I can. I like to think, though, that my best skills are at making the customers feel that they're being treated like royalty. That I feel like that's what keeps them coming back.
We might be in the carriage driving business, but our real business is customer satisfaction. It's the heart of any proper business.
Anybody can come in and drive horses and take people from here to there, but it's the journey, not reaching the destination. Well, it is also reaching the destination, but it's the journey.
The journey is the larger part of what we do here. In fact, some say it's the whole thing, and so it's quite important. Yes. Now, unfortunately, we only have 6 carriages and we only have 6 drivers, so we have no need of a driver at this moment. But I have a new 18-wheeled carriage that's coming up. A few months, maybe a year. Come back then and I'll definitely have a job for you.
See, that's... I'd really been hoping to work here ever since I heard the stories about the 6-wheeled carriage.
Mm-hmm.
Home. If there are any openings, will you keep me in mind?
Of course. How would I get in touch with you?
I give him the name of a fairly cheap inn nearby. I will be here for a few days, but then I'll need to move on if I can't find any work here in town.
Of course.
Okay. Yes, I'll leave him my name, which will be Samuel.
Samuel. Lovely.
You can find me at the inn there. Leave a word with the innkeeper if I'm out.
Well, let me be honest. I hope I never have to call upon you, but if you do, I will definitely find you.
Well, it would definitely be an opportunity for me to work for a company such as this.
Excellent.
I doubt I'll find equivalent work here in town, but one must do what one must do.
Of course.
All right. Well, we'll have to see. So I'll go get a room at that inn and get Sophie set up there.
Mm-hmm.
Purchase Sophie a fish from at the same canal thing going on here. So get some kids, find some kids, purchase good fish for Sophie. And I will go. I'll change my clothes up again, ditch the wig. And I'll try to see what's up. Is if Jeeves, what he's been up to, if I can find out. Still out in that field, passed out.
You gave him 5 gold?
Yes. Enough to try to mend a relationship with the niece, or to get completely blotto and possibly overdose.
Right. So you find Jeeves. He's sort of waking up, and he's got the 5 gold coins in his hand. He's looking at them like he can't believe that he's got his hands on them, and he's not really sure what to do with them. And he sits there for a good, 15 minutes looking
I'm
at
watching
those
him
gold
from afar. I'm
coins.
not going up to talk to him.
Yeah.
I'll get my pipe out as my loitering device, and I'll just be having a smoke in the neighborhood, occasionally glancing his direction.
Sure. Eventually, see Jeeves get up and kind of stretches back out a little and start making his way into town. Give me a stealth check to follow Jeeves through town here. Oh, that is very good. Yeah, he doesn't see you at all. And Jeeves quickly goes through town, heads over towards the cliff, walks down the staircase down there, down to the docks below, and heads to the cheapest brothel in town. And heads inside.
All right.
Not exactly the sort of work that you would expect the person who's driving the ambassador from Mystria to be engaging in.
Yeah, so we'll have to see if 5 gold pieces is enough to make him miss a few days of work, lose his job.
Right.
I will. You know what? I will. Can I kind of loiter, find a place to spend the night, and see if he leaves, see where he goes? It would be good to know where his home is if I have to be drastic.
Sure. You are a master of disguise and a master of hiding around. So you can hang out down on the docks and see what happens to our beloved Jeeves here.
Is this so? The stairs going up, are they somewhat precarious?
No, they're well established and built in. It's a nice switchback. I mean, at the very edge, there's a railing, and it wouldn't be too hard for someone bumped to fall off, but it's rare for people to. It's
even if they're really drunk, as one might be at a brothel.
It does happen. People do sometimes fall off and fall to their death. Probably wouldn't attract too much attention if a old, intoxicated man fell off the stairs.
All right. So I'll just keep an eye out for things tonight, see if and when he heads back to his home?
He doesn't head back. He will actually spend the next 3 days, 5 gold. So I guess, yeah, the next 3 days in a phase of hedonism and exploitation and, bumming around at the lowest levels of society.
All right, we'll see if that's enough to get him fired then. I'm going to stay at the inn, be fairly upstanding and respectable.
Yeah, it is enough to get Jeeves fired. He doesn't show up for work the next day, and it looks like Bart is going to have to stand in for him, which is unfortunate because Bart has a gig the next day. And so Greg's going to have to stand in for him, which is problematic because he's got a gig that same day. So they're going to go over and grab Lauren, one of the other drivers, and use her instead. And it's just kind of it's a mess. It throws the whole schedule for a loop.
Do they come and I get a job offer?
Yeah, so after like 2 days, now day 11 out of 14, Mr. Bronson comes over and finds you at your tavern and says, I've already forgotten your name, good sir.
Samuel.
Samuel, of course. Turns
Samuel,
out,
son of Jackson.
of course, one of our drivers, an older gentleman, seems to have disappeared.
I hope he's okay.
Yes. My first thought was for his safety as well. But now my second thought is for my business, and we do need a driver. He already has a full load in the coming weeks. Can you start in 3 days?
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent.
Sooner, if need be.
No, we've already covered his missing shifts and rearranged the schedule. Besides, you'll need a day for fittings and getting the proper attire, and probably a day or two to get the feel of things and get to know the horses.
Absolutely. Right, so I will go about whatever needs to be done to get hired here. I will try to show myself as a gentleman's gentleman who can be very upscale and very polite, not rough around the edges at all.
Not like sand.
Sure. And
it's all rough and coarse and gets everywhere. Not soft and smooth.
yes, sand, it gets everywhere. So that night, after I get hired, I want to try to, while I'm being fitted, etc., at Carriages R Us, I want to examine the place for ways one could get in the office here.
Looking for ways to get into the office?
Yes.
Well, it's a really small office, right? It's just that area where he kicks his feet up, so how would you close that up at night? I guess there's a door and a shutter, a set of shutters.
Okay. How, I imagine I'll be probably, hearing, being lectured about their policies or whatever at the desk.
Mm-hmm.
I want to look at the shutters and see how. I'm guessing they're probably not that difficult to get open somehow.
Yeah, they're not exactly. It's not exactly Fort Knox here. They're just shutters on a small. It'd be pretty easy to break into this place.
All right, and what kind of paper or parchment or whatever is the roster written on?
It's written on papyrus.
All right. Would it be possible to purchase them here in town?
You can totally get papyrus, yeah.
All right. So after I've done everything and make a big point of how proper I am, I'm going to get some papyrus.
Hmm?
And that evening, say midnight-ish, I will go out for a stroll, and it's time to go in through the window.
All right. Our nighttime break-in music going. All right. The market square has many people, even kind of late into the evening, because there's a couple of little breweries that are here that'll serve alcohol until everyone's really tired and wants to go to bed. So you're gonna have to wait until the dead of night, like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., the true witching hour, to make your move here. I'm gonna want a perception check from you to make sure you can see when the coast is clear, and then a lockpicking check. All right, so I will now have to see if there's someone coming, because you won't notice if they do. All right, and a lockpicking check.
All right, could that be possibly advantage? It's just a crappy shutter, as opposed to an actual lock.
No, the DC is just going to be really low.
Okay.
Just a regular. Well, a natural 1 will break anything. So, wow, that's just terrible luck.
Yeah, this
That's
is
a
not
natural
good.
1 and a natural 2. Wow, that's terrible. So I think you're over at the locker at those shutters, and you're getting your lock picks in there, and you're about to flip them open because the DC is only like an 8 on these things. It's not hard. And as you're getting your lock in there, you're picking there and starting to open it, a constable nearby just goes, and you look, and somehow you didn't notice. Maybe they just walked out from a building, but there's definitely a town guard, like, right next to you, maybe 5 or 10 feet away, staring at you.
Good thing you, sir. I wonder if you could give me a hand. I worried that I... Actually, you know what? I'm going to even go into, since I've got the freaking acting feed, I'm going to go into the voice of Bronson.
Uh-huh.
And see, I was worried that I'd left this shutter unlocked. It was kind of sticky, and sure enough, it was. But I think I need someone to kind of push up on it while I'm doing this. Do you think you can give me a hand?
Of course. Just let me see your wrists.
And that's going to be the point where I go, of course, and I hold out my left one, and I'll try to whip my dagger around, like, out and plunge it into his neck for an assassination roll.
Right, so he goes to, like, get the manacles on his side and put it on your left wrist.
Well, I don't let him do it. I hold it out to get started.
Right, so you hold it out. He goes to get his manacles, and I think as he's looking for his manacles, you bring up the dagger. He definitely doesn't see it coming. He's not ready for this. You will get a surprise round on him. Make an attack roll. Ooh, that's gonna do it. That's gonna hit his AC.
That's the full-on assassination with so 2d4 plus
4d6.
2d4 plus 4 plus
your sneak attack and everything, which is critical as well. So 4d6, 2d4, and 4. A lot of damage.
But 4d6? Is that my...
Sneak attack is 2d6, but it's an auto critical, right? So it automatically doubles.
Am I up to 3d6 at 4th level?
No, it should be 2d6 at 4th level. I think it goes to 3d6 at 5th. Every odd level it goes up.
Alright. So, 2d4 plus 4 plus 4d6.
Yes, sir.
Lot of ones for me today.
Yeah. 16 damage to the 11 HP guard in the chain shirt and with a shield, and he just goes down instantly. Dagger goes right into the neck. The body hits the ground.
Alright, I try to catch the body before it even hits the ground.
Oh, give me a dex check to catch the body.
Alright.
15.
Just trying to be
DC
cool.
10, yeah, he's
All
right
right.
next to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to be cool and suave, but sure.
Yeah, so you catch the body
And like quickly, we're it's kind of hey, drunk buddies kind of thing, trying to hold him up with one arm, the other arm around him. Get into an alley here. And I'm going to start looking around for body disposal possibilities. Does this town have a sewer? Does this town...
No, it doesn't have a sewer. It's just kind of got all the streets angled toward the cliff. And then when it rains, it just washes all the filth down off the cliffs and into the water below.
So we're up on the cliffs?
You're up on the top side where the town is.
All right. Let's see. He's already got armor on. He'll sink. Just gotta get him into the canal without anyone knowing approximately where he would be. Get him into this alley for now. And how big is this town?
In terms of population?
Yeah, just trying to get a sense of the size.
Here, Eridon. Graphics of Eridon. Tassel is population 7,400, so quite large for this area, actually. One of the larger population centers.
All right. Would this guy fit in my chest that I bought?
Chest?
Remember I said I wanted a chest that I would have all the oil in?
Yeah, I don't know if he'll fit in there, unless you want to Dexter Morgan him and cut him up into small pieces and neatly arrange him.
No, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
That's too messy.
Yeah.
Are there... So looking around, do they have rain barrels here? I'm guessing.
They do. Yep.
Right. I'm going to go find not one from from Carriages R Us, but I am going to go find a barrel.
Yep.
Big enough to put the constable into.
Yep.
All right.
You can empty it out and stuff the body in there, close the top, and stick him in an alley and wait for someone to smell him.
Are there any warehouses about?
Definitely.
All right. I am going to sort of roll the barrel as best I can, trying to keep a much better eye out this time, going down alleys, whatever it is, and try to get him to a warehouse.
Yeah.
And I will turn the barrel upside down so that I know it's open on one end, so
right.
The closed end or the open end is down. By a window to a warehouse or like a high up window or something, and I'll make some pretty obvious scratches on the wall of the warehouses if I was trying to get in, if I can reach the windows, if I was trying to pry the window open or something.
Sure. Give me another perception check.
Let's see if this goes better. I really don't need to take out the entire police force.
Yeah, that's better. You can make sure that no one's around and sneak into this warehouse. It is locked. I'm going to need you to make me another lockpicking check.
Oh, I don't need to get in. I just
you want to do this on the outside of the warehouse.
I want it to make it so that, some particularly brilliant officer will go, look at these scratches. Someone was trying to get into the warehouse. poor Officer Barney just happened to come across them, and apparently he was a little too slow.
Got it.
This barrel. I just want to make sure that Officer Barney is not in any way associated with what I was trying to do.
Right.
All right. Back to try the window again, and this time try to look around carefully again. At least now who normally patrols isn't there.
Right. Poor Officer Barnabin, or Barney, or whatever you've been calling him. Definitely not around for this one anymore. So let's get another check. Another lockpicking check.
Okay. See if I can do a little better. I did a little better.
You know, you're just trying to open this window. That's not really a full lock on it, just an internal latch. So 8 was the number needed. You can break open the windows.
All right, in through the window.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to move fast now. I'm gonna get the clipboard. Is there? I'm gonna take it back with me to my room. Do the work there. I am going to copy the style of the list on papyrus as best I can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that there are lots of little arrows and crosses out and changes, etc., due to everybody covering each other's shifts and things that worked and weren't. You were talking about how the problems that were going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a complicated schedule. There's definitely like crosses and arrows moving this person to that place and vice versa.
All right, and I'm going to redo it such that it puts me on duty for the Xanatos's.
Perfect. You rearrange the schedule to make sure that you are working with Xanatos, because in fact they did switch it out so that the new person wasn't driving the ambassador, but one of the more trusted employees would have been driving the ambassador. They were going to give it to Bart.
All right.
The best employees here at Barrages are us.
All right. And I put in all the arrows and things and try to make this thing not quite so obvious, and put that back up.
You put it back up. You can make it back to your in room. And that leaves us with, that is 12 out of 14 days. You have 2 days left to get anything you need. Now, during the last break, you bought poison. The audience didn't hear that, but you did buy a bunch of poison.
Yes. Enough to kill a horse 3 times over. Well, not to kill a horse, but to
Yes.
not be good for a horse 3 times over. 6 times over, actually.
So I think we're going to go to our last break here, and when we come back, we are going to execute the assassination and possibly the ambassador.
Yes.
So we'll see you guys on the other side of our break for our finale here with Rogue Assassin. Bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Assassin. Here we are. It's time for our final mission, or our final segment of this mission. So, day has come.
Mhm.
You are in Tassel. You have all the information that you need. This is a guarded and terroristic mission. Your target is on guard, but they need to be killed publicly, and as much attention on it as possible. You know that Xanatos Elderwig is just a diplomat. He's a level 0 NPC, so he doesn't have any exceptional hit points and probably doesn't have any exceptional AC. He's going to be in this carriage that you have secured a position driving.
Mhm.
Tell me, how are you dressed for this job, and where do
I'm
you
gonna
have
be
weapons?
I'm going to be very well dressed. I'm going to actually go to his inn the night before, and to tell the guards, and tell the knight in charge of his security detail. I'm sure would be the person I would talk to. Introduce myself as Samuel, and say I understand that I'm going to be driving a distinguished person. I wanted to check on your schedule. I assumed you wanted to leave at first lights. How soon should I bring everything around for you?
We expect to see you at the stairway leading out of the inn just around dawn. Mr. Xanatos Elderwig is a prompt man. I expect you to be just as prompt.
I shall do no less. Is there anything in particular you would like me to bring, supply, for the journey?
We have taken care of all of the needs for the ambassador. You simply must provide transportation quickly and safely.
Absolutely, it shall be done.
Right. So, day of, you're in Tassel.
I am going to dress in as a respectable peasant. I'm going to have a dagger strapped in the small of my back, another in my boot. I'm going to have my chest with clothing, and it's just a smaller travel chest. Apparently not enough for body, but it does but with enough room for the 10 pints of oil, which are packed in with the clothes so they don't break during the journey, so that they're padded. I'd like to strap that up on the roof next to me here.
Okay. Can be done. And what about all the poison? You want to poison the horses, right?
Yes, that's... So for that, I'm going to, at the inn where they're staying, can I access, I'll look, is there a way to access their horses?
Yeah, their horses are at a stable. Actually, they're being stabled with the horses for the carriage right now, since they don't really... now, the issue is that Belladonna only has an onset time of 30 minutes, so if you feed them early in the day before anyone's around, it's likely to be kicking in when you're maybe still leaving town or just outside of town. Is that something that you want to do?
Well, I'm thinking if the horses are a bit sluggish, that's... I mean, I'm figuring this is not going to kill the horses, it's going to at most debilitate them. Correct, and it just might be like, oh, the horses are sluggish today, but no one is probably going to be thinking, I wonder if they can gallop, is what I'm hoping.
Okay, so you're gonna feed it to them nice and early.
Yeah. So how does this? So is it either going to be like absolutely no effect if they make their save, or will it just be a reduced effect?
All right. So I'm gonna link this document to Twitch chat in case they're interested. to follow along with. So we're using type D poison. It is an ingested neurotoxin. We've got a fairly complicated poison system. We're not going to try and introduce you all to every facet of it right now. But the idea is, with this particular poison, it has an onset time of 30 minutes, and then it has one of many effects. You're going to do a double dosage, so all the DCs are going to be 5 higher. So if the horse makes passes a DC 11 check, it won't die. If it passes a DC 13 check, it won't be incapacitated. If it passes a DC 15 check, it won't be debilitated. If it passes a DC 35 check, it won't be irritated. Now, it's not going to pass all of these. It might pass one of them, or a few of them, right? So let's say it rolls a 12, and it's incapacitated. It'll be incapacitated for about 3 hours, and then it'll be debilitated for a few days, and then it'll be irritated for a few days. But if it passes incapacitation and fails debilitation, it'll just start by being debilitated, and then move on to irritation. So you start with whatever it fails, go through that full effect, and then go on to the full effect of the next thing and the next thing, because it's like a full range.
So it would be a DC 11 not to die outright? I don't want to kill the horses, because obviously we're not going to try to ride a dead horse.
Right, well, we're also using a modified saving throw here. It's going to be a D20 plus your full con score, not just your con mod. So you would roll like D20 plus 8 for your check. So you would be...
So the horses definitely won't be killed because they'll have a...
Horses will have, I think they have 12 con. So they're unlikely to be... They can't be killed, actually. The minimum they can roll is a 13. So they can't be killed and they can't be incapacitated, but they could be debilitated, and they will definitely be irritated. Yes, if the check is going to be 35.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah, they can't
Enough
pass
that
the
I can
irritation
outride
check.
them, but... So if the irritated, is their movement slowed?
Let's see. Irritated is technically just a combat penalties of 2 to hit. However, I think when it comes to like horses and racing them, a horse that is irritated will be outpaced by a horse that is not irritated. It's probably not enough to like note. It's not like, I don't want to say like minus 5% to movement, but in a race type situation, it'll definitely give you the advantage.
All right.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to have kind of behind the chest up on the, I'm going to take care of the horses here first, but I'm going to have my bow as the way I typically have it, bundled up. And so it's not obviously a bow, just as a bundle tied to the chest here, but with a knot that I can quickly undo.
Okay.
A slip knot or something here. And so it's stabled. Their horses are stabled where our horses are they at?
Yeah, because they brought the knight and his 2 other people who are going to be riding have their own horses that they brought over. They came over on the ship, and they need to stable them somewhere. And the inn that's built into the cliffside doesn't have a stable, so they're just, since they're using Carriages R Us, an agreement between them that they'll also like house the horses for one night.
So I'm absolutely the person who should be feeding their horses.
Absolutely, it's your job as their driver to feed their horses.
I do so. I make sure they're well fed with double doses of poison to the 3 horses.
Excellent.
With double horse doses, so 6 doses of poison.
6 doses, which is enough to kill a man. A human would almost assuredly die with 6 doses. But this is not a human. These are horses, so they'll be fine, just probably really annoyed by it. I'm going to make 3 horse con saves, and we'll see how badly affected these horses are. They will all be irritable, angry horses. Maybe not angry, but very, discomforting. It's an ingested poison. It's a neurotoxin, so it primarily affects your nervous system. Too much of it, and it'll actually stop your heart. At this point, it's just this really, like, maybe itchy, irritating feeling that they get all over their body, and that puts them on edge and makes them really, like, flustered and, kind of antsy.
Ooh, yeah, affecting the heart. Probably not good for a horse riding in a full-out gallop.
Yeah,
I
not...
wouldn't want them to have heart attacks.
Yeah. So that morning comes. There's a light rain that begins to fall as the sun comes up. You get the horses fed and bring everyone over towards the place where the ambassador, Mr. Elderwig, will be exiting his tavern.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time. Good.
All right. I very graciously and invite him into the carriage.
Yep. Xanatos Elderwig and Mindy, his assistant, both step into the carriage. You notice that she's got a little ledger with her, and she's furiously taking notes at everything he says as he's chatting about policies and that.
Do I notice anything about her? Like, hopefully, maybe he's 0 level, but she's not his 10th level monk bodyguard or something. I try to watch her for weapons.
She is unarmed and unarmored. She's wearing...
Does she move like a warrior?
No, she moves like an academic.
Perfect.
You all hop into your carriage.
Hopefully not like a mage academic.
Does not have a spell book. Is covered with ink all over her fingers, though, as if she's been writing a lot, and carries multiple stacks of books and folders with papers in them. So, maybe.
Right. Hopefully not.
No obvious
Right.
spell book, though.
So let's set off for the day.
All right. You head out on the road. Sitting next to you is one of the guards that is traveling with them. Let's see. This is... Davy is the guard next to you. Name.
All right.
He sits up next to you on the carriage. Kel Valis is riding in front of the carriage on his horse. And then the other 2 guards, whose names are Jim and Joan, are riding on either side of you on the carriage down the road.
I am going to set off at a... not really going to push the horses because I don't want it to be too obvious that their horses are somewhat debilitated. After about 10 minutes of riding, I'm going to start trying to start a conversation with Davey, trying to generally make friendly chat. I'm going to ask him a lot of questions about himself, be pretty amazed at all his stories. His jokes are hilarious.
His Eridonian common isn't very good. He comes from Mistria. They speak Mistrian over there, but he speaks a little bit. His jokes and, he's not a very stuffy fellow for a guardsman. He's sort of relaxed and casual about the situation. He does keep his eyes out, looking everywhere, on alert for any danger that could be coming from outside of the wagon. So he'll chat with you while he's looking around and keeping an eye on things, but very casually, like, hanging out with the driver. He doesn't seem to regard you as a threat.
Okay. So just trying to calm his, get him to not see me as a threat. I'll even, as after an hour or 2 of traveling, take a swig from my wine skin and offer him some,
No, on duty. You shouldn't be drinking if you're driving. That's against the federal statute of Stromheim. I'm sorry, against Crown Hold. Actually, is that illegal here in Mistria? Maybe it's in Eridon? It's definitely illegal in Mistria, drinking and driving.
Well, I just needed a bit to wash the dust out of my mouth.
Of course. Oh, I'm here to guard the ambassador, not to enforce the law, so do what you need to do, but you be careful now. You don't want to crash one of them horses.
Won't have another drop. Although, luckily, these are the self-steering horses.
Ah, good. Self-steering horses. That's what I like to hear. Crash when you've been drinking.
Yeah, so keep writing. How long is like the first period when the horses are at their most poisoned?
Let's see, they will be irritated for a couple of days, actually. This poison will not leave their system for a while. They'll be like this for 2 days.
All right. So when I get within, say, an hour of, we're getting towards evening here, get an hour out of Cauldron. That, I've got plenty of time. That will be when, I'm kind of stretching, get the dagger from behind my back, and then in a very casual movement, so that hopefully they don't even realize what's happened, I am gonna, take it from behind my back, as I'm stretching a bit, and drive it up into guard's back here.
Well, he doesn't see it coming, so make your attack roll at advantage.
Okay.
That is definitely a hit. Same damage roll as before.
All right, so what do we got here? 2d4 plus 4 plus 46.
Yes, sir. $20 points of damage. Davy, his eyes go wide. He almost gives a shout, but it's over too fast for him to say anything, and just slumps backwards against the wagon.
All right. And I start driving the horses. I'm going to try to go to a gallop now.
All right. You begin to push the wagon to a gallop. The guards on either side of you see what's going on and start to hurry their horses. Kelzaris, is that his name? The knight up front, Kelvalis, moves out of the way of the horses and starts shouting at you. What are you doing? What's with the sudden increase in speed? As the carriage barrels forward down the road.
Okay, just as fast as I can. Drive these horses.
All right.
See if I can outpace the other horses, or if I'm going to need to do something for that.
Valis, Jim, and Joan all push their horses as fast as they will go, which, they're riding horses, they're not pulling the full wagon, so they can probably go faster than you if everything else was the same, but their horses are not having it today. They're feeling sick already. I'm going to make some rolls and see how the horses react to this. So Valis' horse is fine, but, Jim and Joan's horses both roll natural 5s. And they won't go any faster. Jim's horse bucks and starts to toss him off. Doing well. Jim needs to make a check. Rolls a natural 1. Jim gets thrown from his horse, careening to the ground while his horse sort of scampers off. Joan's horse is not particularly happy either. It doesn't buck to throw her, but instead comes to a stop and refuses to move. It's just not going anywhere today. So they're left in the dust.
All right, so Valis' horse is the one that I need to be concerned about now.
Yes. Valis' horse is coming after you.
All right. I am going to get everything going. The horse is going fast. I'm going with this hopefully nice straightaway here. I'm going to, with one hand, grab the bundle with my bow. Unbundle it, and the horses, as I said, they're horses, so they're to some extent they're self-steering unless I try
totally self-steering. Yeah, they'll follow the road no matter what.
Yeah, so can I then turn and take a shot at Sir Valis' horse?
Absolutely. So Sir Valis' horse, he's pushing his horse. It's a nice sturdy one. It's definitely not as fast as it could be going, but your horses will stay on the road. You can get up and take a shot.
All right. Is this an assassination attempt on the horse? How will this?
look.
I mean, the horse isn't really like, oh, I'm ready for arrows to hit me. It's
No,
just sort of
but it is
doing
being
horse stuff.
driven by a person who's aware of what's going on. And it is a light war horse. I don't know if I don't think you can get the full assassinate skill on the horse.
Okay.
Yeah, but you could get your. All you need is advantage to get sneak attack, right?
Yeah, but I don't have any way to get advantage on it if it's
Yeah.
not.
You have advantage on attack rolls against any creature that hasn't taken its turn in combat yet. So let's roll initiative. And if you win initiative, you'll get advantage on the first attack roll. Ooh! That is way better than Valis' initiative. You definitely go first.
Well, in that case, do I get the assassinate? Because I get the assassinate
Yes.
as long as it's.
Yes.
And I have advantage on
And
that.
you
right?
have advantage. Well, it's always a crit, so yeah.
Yeah.
That'll
all
work.
right. So, how many die are we rolling now for this crit assassinate?
Same as before, 2d4, 46, and 4.
Now it's D6s because it's a short bow.
Oh, right, so 66 plus 4. $20 damage to a 19 HP warhorse.
Oh,
Oh.
horse suddenly dies in the middle of a gallop. Do we have a spectacular flying through the air crash that you're
We
about?
do. We have, Valis in the seat, riding the warhorse, galloping it as fast as it'll go. It's clearly angry and upset at being pushed so hard. You take a shot, hit the horse square in the neck. The horse's front end comes down, the back end comes up. Valis is gonna topple to the ground. He makes a leaping dive at the side of the wagon and rolls a natural 20 on his athletics check. Leaps to the side of the wagon and grabs onto it, so his hands are on the rails above and his feet are kicking against the doorway while the ambassador and his assistant are on the inside. His horse hits the ground, rolls a few times, and is just gone. But now he's grabbed onto the side of the wagon.
I didn't realize he was close enough to grab onto this thing. Shoot. Now is it possible to, since he's hanging on to the side here, do I get advantage on attacking him since it's not like he can really dodge or can at least not have his dex mod? Or how?
Yeah, so he doesn't have a shield because he never ended up putting it on. Dick. Stopped all of a sudden. Hold on, I have to. Perfect. All right, there we go. At least chat will hear it now, even if you don't. So with your bow, you could lean over the edge of the carriage and shoot towards him. He definitely wouldn't get his dex because he's holding on and in that awkward position. And let's see.
I'm going to use my dagger.
You're going to use your dagger? All right, so he's kind of towards the back of the carriage. So you would have to crawl up on top of the carriage and stab down on him or something?
Okay, 5 feet. Basically, my goal is that if he tries to move onto the roof of the carriage, then basically I want him provoking opportunity attacks. I want him to have a really bad time.
Excellent. All right. So let's get. Name is Bill Valis. Here we go. So you won initiative last round. He spent his round leaping through the air, grabbing onto the carriage, and trying to scramble his way up. His second athletics check is not so good, so we go to the second round. That's 5e, so we keep the same initiative. It's your turn. He's on the side of the wagon, hanging on.
All right. I am going to try to stab him off. I'm going to. Is this still going to be an advantage type thing with him hanging on, or what will be the?
I think you'll still have advantage because he's going to have to be hanging. He's in a definitely a compromised situation. But you were going to be crawling onto the wagon rooftop while this is going on, then, to get to him? Or
Yes.
how do you want to? Yeah, because it's on the back.
I'm gonna crawl along the top of the top of the wagon.
Right.
I don't know if you want.
Just in time for the tunnel in the middle of the road. You climb onto the wagon. God, we need a tunnel here somewhere.
I look. Yeah, we'll suddenly drive the cart backwards so that he doesn't see the tunnel. I'll look, duck down. He'll turn around just in time to be hit.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Because
Okay.
I'm clearly the good guy in this situation.
Right? Right? Alright. So you scramble onto the wagon. It's a little difficult. You can move at half rate and get to him with no problem, though. He's holding on to the rails that you tie extra baggage to, and his feet are sort of like one foot's on the standing plank, the other foot's dangling and like kicking the wheel occasionally. He looks up at you with like surprise and fury in his eyes that he didn't see this assassin coming.
All right, and I draw the second dagger from my boot so that I can use, since I don't need to really be dashing around the roof of a carriage that's probably 10 feet length max. I'm going to be using that bonus action for stabby with my offhand.
All right, give me your first attack then. 22 is a hit. You stab him.
So how many die am I getting on this here then?
Let's. Okay, so it's not surprise, so it's not a critical hit. You do have advantage, so you get your sneak attack. So it's going to be 2d6 for the sneak attack, 1d4 for the dagger, and 4 for your dex.
All right. To roll 2d6 for the sneak attack plus 2d4 for the dagger, you said? Or just 1d4 for the dagger?
1d4 for the dagger.
Plus 4. All right, let's see what we can do here.
10 points of damage. Very nice. You stab him, what is it, like through the arm? One of the arms that's holding on. And he gives a cry, lets go with the arm, but maintains his grip on the wagon. Get your second dagger attack.
All right.
Unfortunately, this one won't have a dex mod to damage or sneak attack damage since it's dual wielding, but you hit him anyway. Go ahead and give me that 1d4. It's just a flat d4. Stab and stab.
All right, just hoping to make him make athletics checks to have this hang on here.
Yeah, I'm giving him an athletics check each time. He still holds on. He maintains his grip, and it's his turn. He's gonna.
And I'll say, what is the name of this kingdom?
You're in Eridon right now. He's from Mystria.
All right. And I'll say the king of Eridon sends his regards.
He looks up at you and says, but there's a queen in Eridon! And tries to pull himself up onto the
I
wagon.
misspoke.
He uses his athletics to pull himself up onto the wagon this round.
So is he basically moving into my square?
Yes, he's like pulling himself up near to your square.
That provoke opportunity?
Only when he leaves does it provoke attacks of
To
opportunity.
move into my square doesn't provoke? Okay.
So he'll get up there, get to his feet on top of the wagon, draw a long sword, and make a roll to hit against you with it. A slash. Will a 12 hit you?
You said I have 15 now.
You do have 15 AC. It does not. It is a swipe towards your... Maybe it's like more of a stab towards you on the ground, and you roll out of the way. The blade goes down, gets right in between Mindy and Xanatos inside, and you hear shrieks of terror happening from within.
All right. And how bad does he seem? Have I got him halfway down?
Yeah, can you see him on the Roll20 map? You should have an HP bar above his head.
Oh, I have my sheet up here. On the roll... Okay, I'm like way zoomed out.
Oh.
Farther, yeah. Oh man, this could be bad.
Well,
Not meant to actually sword fight anybody here.
Yeah, the 12 is a miss. He's at about 2/3 HP right now.
Yeah, this ain't gonna be good.
Yeah, and it is your turn. What are you gonna do?
All right, what are the rules for trying to like kick him off, knock him off? Can I trip him with?
Yeah.
Can I sort of trip attack?
You can make a shove against him. It's just an opposed athletics check, and if you win, you can either knock him down or knock him 5 feet backwards.
Can I do that with acrobatics? Basically, the tripping. I would love.
Defender can choose to use acrobatics, but the attacker has to use athletics. That might be. Let me double check the rule.
Okay.
We don't often. In the combat section, it's shoving a creature. You make a strength athletics check contested by the target's athletics or acrobatics. Yeah, you're required to do athletics here.
All right. Yeah, my acrobatics is not going to beat his. I'm sure strength is his primary stat.
What are you gonna do?
Are there any other sort of maneuvers, disarming or anything? I'm not. I haven't gotten that.
Disarming is a battle master thing, so he can probably disarm you, but you can't disarm him.
Luckily, I've got 2 daggers. I guess I'm going to go with double daggers.
You're just gonna try and just stab him down.
Not sure what the other options here are.
Okay, go for it. He's in chainmail armor, so his.
Is there anything going on with us being squeezed here?
No, because it's a carriage top. It's maybe 6 feet long, 4 feet wide. Yeah, so you're both in close quarters. Are there close quarters penalties in 5e? I don't think there are any close quarters issues here. You're just a little bit tight. Maybe,
All right.
Are you technically squeezing with each other? That
I
might be
wasn't
the
sure. I
case.
mean, I guess it could be 2 5-foot squares up here, I guess.
Yeah. Look at the squeeze.
And the carriage is probably 5 feet. Well, the carriage is probably 5 feet wide, 10 feet long. So 2 5-foot squares.
Maybe. Yeah.
All right. Are we having to make any? I mean, the horses are galloping. We're standing on a carriage roof. Any acrobatics checks to, if we're fighting?
Yeah, I suppose each round, each of you should have to make an acrobatics check to stay stable, to stay on
Alright.
your feet. And he did make his that round. You make yours. It's not a difficult check. It's just got to be a 10.
And I'll try to dagger.
Ooh,
Oh, I'm daggering.
good dagger
And the offhand dagger
is
Not
no
so
good. Now you don't have advantage here, so you don't get sneak attack, right? It's just gonna be your
Nope.
D4 plus 4.
Yeah, this is going to be bad. This is not ideal. D4 plus 4.
Uh, 5 points of damage to the fighter. Yeah, so even if you're squeezing, the effects sort of balance each other out. You would get disadvantage on attacks, and people would have advantage to hit you, and the two would just cancel, so it wouldn't matter.
All right.
Yeah, so you give him a good stab. It's his turn, and he is going to...
Probably hit me.
Yeah. Well, let's just roll to hit at first. A 15 to hit against you.
Yep, it hits me. See how bad it is.
Let's roll for damage here. He will do 5 damage, but he's also going to use his trip attack maneuver, which adds a superiority die for another 5. So a total of 10 points of damage to you, and you must make a strength saving throw or be knocked down.
Can't use acrobatics for that?
Nope. Strength saving throw.
All right.
He is a battle master. No good. So he brings the sword against you with the flat of the blade, knocking your feet out from underneath you and kind of chopping you at the edge of your legs. So you're now prone. He's standing over you on this moving wagon. He needs to make his acrobatics check now and fails. 2 and 1 is 3. So once he gets you down, he's going for the murder blow when the wagon hits a bump and he tumbles and lands on top of you. The two of you are sandwiched on the top of the wagon at the end of the round. It is your turn.
All right. Great option here. No, so there's no real great way for me to kick him off.
I mean, he's laying on top of you right now. You could try and roll him off.
That's going to be strength versus his.
Well, now that he's laying on top of you, I could say you could use your acrobatics against his athletics.
All right, I want to try to acrobatics, try to roll him and send him off the side of the.
Sure, you're on the ground. He's on the ground. You're rolling around now. It's not just a contest of strength. It's a contest of positioning more than anything. Really getting the hips off kilter. So give me an opposed acrobatics against his athletics. Ooh.
Can we tie break with my dex versus his strength then?
Yeah, you want to do a tiebreaker? You mean as a separate roll, or just as you have 17 point your dex? He's got.
No, I mean I'm guessing.
He has 17 strength, so you have 17.18 versus his 17.17. So I think you roll him off just barely, and since we're doing tiebreakers at this point, I think you roll him and he catches himself on the side of the wagon, dangling. He had a sword in his hand. I'm gonna give him a check to see if he can maintain his grip on his sword. No, he has to drop his sword to catch the side of the wagon and dangle off of it.
Perfect.
And that'll be your turn. Do you stand up at the end of your turn, or do you stay crouched?
So I kind of need to be crouched to stab him with my dagger.
Sort of, yeah. You can't stand and hit someone on the edge.
Yeah, so I'll be crouched, ready to stab him if he tries to climb back up.
All right. He will make an acrobatics check or athletics check to try and climb up, and he gets it. Once again, he just swings his legs to the side and hand to hand and rolls back onto the wagon. This time, swordless. He has a dagger at his side, which he can draw. So.
All right, could I draw his dagger for him?
Ooh. Yeah, if you can make me a sleight of hands check, you can draw his dagger instead of your own.
All right.
Ooh, not good enough. You go to get his dagger, and he just slaps your hand away. But you can still make an attack with your regular hand. Oh my god. Critical hit. 2d4 plus 4? You don't get sneak attack on critical. I think it's just 2d4. $11 points of damage. He is getting pretty low. I think you took 10 earlier?
Yes.
Okay, and
so this is bad.
Yeah. So you are at 9 out of 19. He is at 5 out of 32. It's his turn. He will draw his dagger and say, and just try and kill you. Just gonna go for one more stab. A 15 will hit for 5 points of damage. Oh, so close. You are at 4. He is at 5, and it is your turn. And the both of you are on top of the wagon, galloping down the road. While
I'm gonna have to double dagger him then and hope and pray.
Oh, first hand comes in with a wild miss. Second hand gets caught in his armor, doing literally nothing.
All right, this is bad.
This This is bad.
Can I move? I still have a move
You do still have a move.
and a dash, and a
Or
bonus.
disengage.
No, I
with
just
your-
have a
Oh no, because you used your bonus action. Yeah.
yeah.
You just have a movement. What are you gonna do with
Provoke opportunity. So I can't give him a free attack on me.
it? Right.
It
It
like
is
50-50, I guess, at this point.
Valis' turn, and he goes to stab you. And he gets you for 2 points of damage, bringing you to 2 HP. Why won't you die, assassin?
All right. So next round here,
Next
I
round.
am going to disengage. Use as my move. Use my dash move to move out across across the carriage, out onto the lead horse, moving across the backs of the horses here.
Oh, can you make me an acrobatics check as you jump onto the horses? That's good enough. You get down to the area. Did you want to grab anything on your way?
Should we say we have to grab my bow, or do I have it?
You can grab your bow on your way. It's
All right.
right there.
And then
So
can I
you-
make a bow attack?
Sure. You go to the lead horse, right? The very front horse.
Yes, I'm trying to get far away from him.
All right, so you go from the carriage top to the driver's seat to the back horse to the front horse. And are you standing or sitting on the horse?
Can I fire if I'm sitting on it?
Yeah.
All right. So, pick
All right,
up
so you
part to
sit
get shot.
backwards on the horse and take a shot. 22 will hit.
So D6 plus 4 piercing.
Oh, Kel Valis gets up to follow as the arrow catches him in the square of his chest, right between the rings of his shirt, and he tumbles, hits the ground, rolls to the side, and gets left in the dust.
All right. I am going to take my time to carefully make my way back onto the carriage. Which I would really be stupid to fall off now.
Mm-hmm.
And once I'm back on the carriage, there's a hole in the roof, even from the
dagger.
The sword.
Uh-huh.
How big is the hole?
Sword width.
All right. I open the chest, again keeping the horses going as fast as I can. I open the chest and start taking out these pint oils. I make sure I'm not getting any oil around me.
Uh-huh.
But I'll like reach around. I'll break. Yeah, I've got a total of 10. Let's see. I'll break 2 on the roof where they'll spread out pretty well.
You hear voices from inside saying, "What is it? Are they dealt with? What's happening?"
I'll say
Valis!
in Valis' voice, using my acting feat, because all the different sites that say acting is the most worthless talent or feat that someone can take. I've dealt with them, sir, but there's more bandits coming from behind. I'll need to keep a good gallop going.
Quickly then, quickly!
All right, and now I'll shatter 2 more against each side of the carriage.
Uh-huh.
Of the oils. I've used 6 so far. I am going to. Can I lean forward and soak the horses' tails in the two
Yeah.
horses back here?
Yeah.
All right, I get them good and soaked. And I am going to so let's see, that leaves me with 2. I'm going to go back out onto the lead horse again. I am going to be riding on it. I'm going to light the first oil and throw it at the front of the carriage. Well, I'm going to take my, let's see, my bow, whatever I really need.
You take your stuff and...
I take my stuff. And
it's like you're lighting it and tossing on the carriage as you jump off and duck and roll.
No, right now I'm just taking the. I think I'm probably going to ride off with the lead horse and just set it free.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So I try to light it.
Do so.
I need to make sure this, that people die here.
The whole of the carriage is soaked with oil on the sides, on the top. It's dripping in through the hole, but it's raining, so the people inside think maybe it's just water or something. But there are these weird fumes, and the horses are sort of covered, and as you're on the lead horse and you set the whole of the carriage ablaze, you hear the shrieks and cries of those within, the neighs of the horses.
Do the tails of the horses and back catch on fire?
Yes, they do. And the whole burning monstrosity just rides down the road through the rain as you peel to the side. You are absolutely certain no one is getting out of that burning inferno. If, eventually that's going to crash. If they survive the crash, they definitely won't survive their burns.
Yeah, I'm going to ride along to watch, make sure I'm a professional. I make sure the job is done. Watch for the crash.
Yeah. You see the crash maybe a half mile down the road. You can ride up alongside of it, and carriage is on its side and on fire, and there's no voices or movement coming from within when you see a different carriage coming in your direction.
Okay, do I have time to get off the road?
Yeah. Some nameless other group coming your way, and it's time for you to make your break and escape without being seen.
All right, I do so.
Right.
And
Vanish.
I will before I vanish, I'm going to take out one of the copper coins, roll it around. Samuel, toss it into the burning carriage, then make my way off.
Right. Carriage goes up in flames. The ice passers stop and try and rescue any survivors, but all they pull out are burned corpses. As you take your lead horse and ride off into the sunset. And we are all out of time. In fact, we're over on time today. So we'll do the rest of our episode wrap-up next week when we introduce our next mission. We'll get you your level up and your rewards for this mission next week as well. But hint, it's a level to 5th level, and it is Boots of Elvenkind for rewards.
Sweet.
So that is it for us today. We will see you next week. Rob, do you have any final words before we head out?
I thought that was pretty epic and terroristic in public. I hope everybody enjoyed the show.
We will see you guys next week with Assassin. Bye.
Bye.